Hey everybody, let's learn how to separate the first name from the last name in these cells right here that have the full name in them. This is really easy, and we're going to use a couple of different functions. And excuse me, one of the functions we're going to use is len, L-E-N, short for length. What is the length of this string? And so that's the len function, the length function or len function. We're going to use the find function so that we can search for the comma in each of these names here. Get us a position number of what position does that comma reside at. Where is that comma in the entire length of the string? Okay, the other one we're going to use is the left opposite of right, which also is a function. So you have a left function and you have a right function. The left function, you give it the cell or the string that you want to go in and grab a certain number of characters from the left. And the opposite of that is the right function, which grabs all of the characters up to the number that you specify from the end of the string. So for example, let's take Alan Allegra. So Alan Allegra, if I were to use the left function, right? Actually, you got to start off with the equal sign. So start off with the equal sign, equal left. And if you'll notice, when you start typing that in, it tells you returns the specified number of characters from the start of a string, of a text string. So you know, functions, you have the name of the function and then you also have a parentheses, okay? Now, if you just follow the parameters here, it wants to know the text that you're looking at. Well, we're looking at A5. So if I just click in A5, Excel automatically enters A5 into the formula. Then, once I'm done, I push the comma to separate and say I'm moving on to the next parameter. Here, saying the number of characters. How many characters of A5 do you want to extract from that string? So let's just say we're going to pull the last name here. The first 1, 2, 3. So A-L-L-E-G-R-A. That's 7. So I put in the number 7, close off the function with the parentheses, and press enter. So we do get the last name, which is good. However, if you were to copy this formula as it is right now, let's just copy it down, you will notice that it ain't so good, right? So in this first example here, Ammons, you see the comma in there. Anastas, you're missing some letters, as well as Anderson here and Anderson there. Back, comma, space A. So it's not an effective way of grabbing, you know, what we need. What we need to do is we need to figure out where is that comma at? What position does that comma reside at? Okay? And so we're going to use the find function. So let's just go back to, who was it? Alan here, right? Let's say we want to use the find function to tell me what numerical position the comma is at in this string. So we're going to go equals find. And now the first parameter is saying find text. Okay, so it's saying, what do you want to find? Anything that you put in here has to be in quotation marks. So we're going to open up the quotation marks and we're going to put in the comma, and then we're going to close the quotation marks, and that's it for that parameter. Now to move on to the next parameter, you have to press the comma key. Now it's saying within text. See you can see right here in the next parameter says within text. All right. So which string do you want to find the comma in? Well, we want to look in this one, A6. Okay. And then for this example, we're going to ignore the start num parameter. Matter of fact, any parameter that is in brackets, like this start num, means that it's an optional parameter. So for example, if we were to back up and just do that and press enter, we would get an error. Okay. Plus it tells you you've entered too few arguments for this function. So let's go back in it. Let's put the comma in and finish it off. Within text, this is what we want to search. And that's it for that function. So reading this function, essentially I'm saying I want to find the comma that is inside of the cell A6. Make sure you close off the parentheses, and then press the enter key. And here we have position 7. So the comma in this name is at position 7. A-M-M-O-N-S. That's 6 characters. And then the comma follows right behind the last name. That's 7. So if we were to tell the left function to grab the last name and use the left function, the left function says, what string are you looking in and how many characters? So let's try this, all right? We know that the comma is at position 7. So if I go here and I do, let's put in the left function again, left function, right? And I'm going to look in this string, and the number of characters that I want to go is going to be 7. At least I got the right name, right? I got the right position. But again, if I were to copy this down, it still would not be correct. So we're not there yet. What we have to do is we have to tell the left function exactly how many characters from the left to retrieve. And the way we do this is we use the left function along with the find function, right? So let's do that. Equals left. Okay, we want to look in, we want to pull from the A6 cell. Then, comma. Now here's where it gets a little bit creative. Number of characters. Well, we already know that the comma is at position 7. So if we were to say 7, we do get Ammons, but we also get the comma. We don't want the comma. So it really has to be the number of characters is the position of the comma minus 1. So how do we find the position of the comma? We use the find function. So find, open parentheses, we're going to look for the comma, right? Within that string, we're going to close off the find function, and we're going to subtract 1, minus 1, because the find function alone returns the 7th position in the string of where the comma is. We need to take 7, subtract 1, we end up with 6. Then we close off the entire left function, we press enter, and there we have it. Now if we copy this down, or actually let's copy it up. Now it works wonderful. Look at that. So, right? So we'll just go down to here. Boom. Ba-ba-boom. Now, let's take a look at the first name. The first name is a little bit more involved because now we're coming from the right. And if you take the very first name that we're on here, now, you see the marching ants here? This is the little tip I'm going to give you. The marching ants, it's not a big deal they're there, but they sometimes you know, can be annoying. It makes you think that something's going on, right? If you press the escape key, those marching ants will go away. So escape key. Boom. Gone. Done with. All right. Now for the first name. In the very first cell there, we're looking at Adam Agopian. I'm sorry for the names. These are all sample names. They're all the A's have A last names and so forth. So anyway, we want to go from the right. Now, when you take a look at this cell, Agopian Adam, we need to get Adam. Well, how many characters does Adam take up? Let's see, A-D-A-M. 4. So if we use the same concept, if we go use the right function, and we select this string that we want to pull from, and we do comma, and we say I want the right 4 characters. Seems like it works, right? Looks good, but the moment you copy this down, look at this. It doesn't work. Only when there are 4 characters in the first name from the right does it work correctly. But take a look at Amy, right? Amy down here. It actually did it. It pulled 4, and the 4th character in this string over here happens to be the space. So though it can work, it's not effective at all in this situation. So what do? So with the right function, we need to use a combination of the length of the string along with the find function. So we're actually going to be using 3 different functions in this formula. Let me explain what the length function does. So let's go here, type in len. I started with the equal sign to say to Excel that we're going to be putting a formula in there. Open parentheses, leng, and there's only one parameter. It's text, right? So let's go over here and click on A2, close off the function, and press enter. We get 13. So here's the thing. We have to use the length to determine how long the string is, and then in order for us to get the 4, what is 4 from? I'm terrible at math unless I'm using Excel. So let's just do this, equals 4 minus 13. Okay, it's 9. All right, sorry. So 9. We have to tell Excel to subtract 9 from 13. All right, and we end up with 4. So to do that, we start off with the equals right function, because the overall thing we want to do is we want to pull from the right a certain number of characters, and the certain number of characters is dependent on where that comma is. And we also have to count the space as well, but I'll show you how we do that. So to grab the first name, we start off with the right function. Start typing that in, and then we're going to pull from this string. And what we want to do is we now want to take the length of that string, and we want to subtract from it the position of the comma, whatever that position number is, so maybe 7, 8, or whatever, plus 1 to include the space. So let's build that. All right. So right, A2, we're going to take the length, len, of A2, and we're going to subtract from that. And we're going to, now here's the thing, whenever you start subtracting and adding things to the results of a function, that also needs to be contained within a set of parentheses. Otherwise, it'll do the subtraction first, and then it'll be weird. So trust me on this. We're going to open up parentheses. Okay, then we're going to enter the find function. We're going to use the find function. we're going to look for the comma, right? And the comma is going to be found somewhere in this string. We're going to close off the find function, and we're going to add 1 to the results. And now we close off the this parentheses right here that we just added up in the beginning, and now we have to close off this parentheses right here for the right function. And we do that. Now let's take a look at this, okay? So use the right function, and we're going to take a look at A2, and we need to take the length of A2, and we need to subtract from it, right here, subtract from it the position of the comma that is located in A2, and we have to add 1 to that. Then we have to close off the find function, and then we have to close off the right function. As you notice, the len function is already closed off right here. So that is it. If we press enter, ba-ba-boom, there's Adam, right? And now if you copy this down, look at this. This is just sweet. This is a good way of doing this, and now it works, right? Hunky-dory, right? Now, whoops, let's go back up here. Now, if we take this, copy it, and start from here and just copy it all the way down. Let's just go all the way down here. Where are you at? Right up there to the end. Boom. And we can do Control V. And now let's just zoom out. And this is good. Now here's another nice little trick. This is a formula, and so this cell contains a formula, right? Here's the formula up here. And this is the result of the formula. Now, quite often when you do things like this, you will want to change the formula, convert it to a value. It's because if you start moving things around, the formula might break. So the way to do that is you just highlight your selection, and I just start with my first cell here. I hold down the Control Shift, go all the way down to the bottom. Then I lift up, and I just hold down the Shift key, and I go over 1. Then I copy. You have to copy the contents. And now what you're going to do is you're going to paste on top of itself, except you're going to specify that what you are pasting are the values only. So I do a shortcut, and I hold down the Alt key, and it's Alt H V S V. So that's how I do it. I just use a shortcut. I'm going to show that to you again. So I hold down the Alt key. While I'm holding it down, I push the other letters one at a time and in the right order. So hold down the Alt key, H, V as in Victor, S as in Sam, V for values. And I press OK. And now when you look in the cell, they've been converted to the actual value, and the formula no longer exists. So that's just a little tutorial on how to separate out last names from first names. You can do this with anything. You could do it with email address. You could look for the @ sign in an email if you were interested in extracting the domain. Just the domain name. So there's all sorts of things you can do. If there's something common in the cell, you can anchor onto that common piece of information and be able to perform functions and formulas against that string using that anchor point. And in these names, the anchor point happens to be the comma. Now, you might have a name that has 2 commas in it. Those you'll have to look at, as an exception. But for here, most of these, if not all of them, you've got just the last name, comma, space, and then the first name. So I hope this tutorial was helpful to you, and again, give me a thumbs up if you like it, and if you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. It doesn't matter. It's helpful to somebody. So take care, and hope you all are being safe with this coronavirus stuff that's going on. So take care. Thank you. Like and subscribe.